Hello everyone! So today I am here to do my December wrap-up, which is the last wrap-up of 2017. Woo! I read 9 books and 2 halves of books. Wow, that's actually way more than I thought I did. Actually, no, it's like 8, 1 short, 2 short, no, it's like 7, 2 short stories and 2 halves. Alright, so just getting right on into it. The first book that I read was my last Shakespeare play that I need to read for school, and that is The Winter's Tale by Shakespeare, obviously. We read this for the last little chunk of our semester, and yeah, I am already done with this. This is the only tragic comedy that we read. I quite enjoyed it. I give it like a 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. This was, yeah, it was fun. I like tragic comedies a lot. I like Leontes, I like the ending, I like Perdita and Florizel, who is really strangely named, but I really liked this. It was a good way to end the semester. And then the next book I already got, actually the next 2 books that I read I got rid of because I didn't like them that much. And the first one is The Martian by Andy Weir. Yeah, I gave this like a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't really get the hype with it. I just didn't think it was that funny. I guess maybe it's also because I hate chemistry with a burning passion. Chemistry is the reason that I dropped my major, so I really don't like chemistry. So this book is really fun if you're like a science person, but like I'm not anymore, and I never was a chemistry science person, so it just was a lot of like science. It was also just like low-key really boring. I do not understand how people say that this is a really fast-paced fun novel, because I thought it was really boring and like not entertaining at all. So I gave it a 3 star. It did make me chuckle a couple of times, but that was about it. And then the next book I gave a 2 star, and that is Rabbit Cake by Annie Hartnett. I had big hopes for this one, but unfortunately they fell pretty flat. This just kind of felt like Tell the Wolves I'm Home, which is one of my favorite novels, but like wrong. Because in Tell the Wolves I'm Home it really explores grief and like that kind of thing in a child. Well, this one I like it like almost felt like it was making fun of grief a little bit sometimes, at least for me, and I just wasn't a big fan of the main character. I've discovered I hate books that have main characters who are children but are special just so that they're able to write them more like adults. Like, I've read a couple books recently that are like that, and I'm just really not a fan. Either write an adult character or write a child character, because this character, she was like 10, but every single time she talked she sounded like she was 50. Like, she was supposed to be like a genius or whatever, and it was just really unrealistic and really got on my nerves. So 2 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was a recommendation from my friend Haley, and I decided to pick it up, and I'm so glad I did because I loved it, and that is Burning Midnight by Will McIntosh. I accidentally read this in like a single sitting. Literally, my friends were like, "Kate, we gotta go to dinner." I was like, no! And then we were trying to go to bed, like my roommate and I always go to sleep at the same time, and she's like, "Kate, it's bedtime," and I was like, "I need to finish." So I finished it, and it was so good. I loved it. I think I gave it like a 4.2, 4.5 out of 5 stars or so. I really enjoyed this. She said it reminded her of Willful Machines by Tim Florine, which is why I decided to kind of pick it up, and I totally feel where she's coming with that. It's not LGBT, it's not like gay characters, but the characters felt very similar, and the writing, the storytelling of it was kind of similar, as well as the weird ass ending. I loved the ending of this book. I don't think a lot of people would like the ending of this book, but if you're a fan of Tim Florine or you like the same books as me, I think you would really enjoy this. The ending was so, like, low-key. I low-key saw it coming. Low-key. I was kind of like, if this happened, it was more of a like, if this happens I'm gonna get really freaking excited. I also really enjoyed this because it wasn't like the narrator who was special, if that kind of makes sense. It was like the main character's friend, which that doesn't happen a lot, which I actually really enjoyed. But also the only complaint I do have about this book is the fact that it had a couple moments, I had 3 marked, that just had a little bit of problematic things. Like, okay, so there's like this one thing where it's on page 67 if you would like to read along, where it's basically they're talking about talking to this girl, and they're talking to this one girl about another girl, and they talk about her and are like, she doesn't like jewelry or clothes or makeup, so she's not like a girly girl kind of person, and the other girl's like, oh yeah, and I am a girly girl, like kind of putting down girly girls, which I'm just not a fan of when books do that. I don't like the whole I'm not your typical girl, because like being a girly girl's fun. Like you can be a girly girl and be badass. Like I don't know why like girls have to be boyish to be cool, you know, you feel me? And then there was this one where this is the one that pissed me off the most, and it actually is something that pissed me off in Turtles All the Way Down, is this talking about being poor and being poorer than other people and like being like tragic and stuff like that. And I'm just like, it's a big problem in our society where like it's basically like, you know, I have anxiety, and then the person next to you goes, well, I have anxiety, depression, and and it's like a competition to be more mentally unwell, and this is basically a competition of who's poorer. And I'm just like, just because you might have it worse doesn't invalidate another person's being upset or like situation, you know? And then there was just this one thing that like it could be like harmless, but it's just the whole like gay best friend thing. Is there was this thing, and like this boy liked a girl and she turned out to be a lesbian, and he was like, yeah, I don't know, I like having a lesbian friend, it makes me feel all modern. Like I get it, whatever, but I'm kind of like, as a person who has been a couple of people's gay best friend, even though I'm not gay, it gets under your nerves after a little bit seeing that all the time. But besides those couple of little things that really bothered me, this book was so entertaining and so much fun. Again, I loved the ending so much. I thought it was so unique and so interesting. So again, I really recommend this, especially if you like YA sci-fi or if you like Tim Florin. The next book I read is like an unpopular opinion apparently. I'm shocked by this, but I read Vinegar Girl by Ann Tyler. I loved this book. I gave it like a 4.25 out of 5 stars, and all I've seen is people saying how much they hated this book. I must say, if you didn't like this book, you probably hate me, because the main character, whose name is Kate, is literally me in a book. She is kind of grumpy, she's kind of bitchy, she loves goats, and she hates small children, and she's kind of grumpy and bitchy, and she's so funny. I loved reading about her because I saw myself in her so much. I also just really enjoyed this story. I also see a lot of people saying that it's not a very good Taming of the Shrew retelling, but I've never read Taming of the Shrew, so I don't really know. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really cute. I thought it was really fun and fluffy and fun. Again, I said fun twice, but I just thought it was really cute. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely something that I needed to read during like finals week. But yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was really fun. I don't know why people hate it so much. Alright, and the next book that I read was my reread of Three Souls for the year. Yep, I did my reread of it, and I'm so happy that I did, because every single time I read this book, I find new things. The pink is new from this reread. So you can see I am still finding so much in this book, and I love it so much. I'm not going to go into super detail because everyone has heard me talk about this book a million times. This book is about a girl in 1930s China who she has died, and she's looking back on her life to figure out why she is not allowed to go to heaven. It's beautiful. I love it so much. The next book I read was actually also a reread. So I actually did quite a few rereads this month. But that was of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I love A Christmas Carol so much. I think it is so cute, and it's the OG heartwarming Christmas story. I've done it a couple of times in school, and I've read it a couple times on my own, and I just love it so much. If you don't know what A Christmas Carol is, it's Scrooge with the past, present, and future Christmases. It's a really cute, heartwarming story. There's Tiny Tim, all of those people, and I really highly recommend it. It's only like 80-something pages. I think like 88 pages, and it's really cute. Highly recommend it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, obviously. So the next book I read was a single short story out of an anthology, and that was Feral Youth by Sean David Hutchinson and a bunch of other people. I only read Tim Florin's story, which is, I believe, the second story. Yeah, I was low-key really disappointed. I'm very happy I didn't buy this because I was only reading it for Tim Florin's one story in it, and I wasn't a big fan. I can't give like this entire thing a rating, but I gave that one story 3 stars. I was just expecting so much more, I guess. I don't think I like him writing contemporary. I also just wasn't that impressed with the story. I think the premise of this story is that there's a bunch of kids at a summer camp and they're telling stories, and this kid who was in this story, he's gay, and he's telling the story of one time how he got a lot of money. And I don't know, I just wasn't a big fan, especially because I've heard a lot of people saying that that was the best story in the anthology, and I was like, wow, the rest of them must suck. I don't know, I just was not a big fan at all, so that was disappointing. I gave it 3 stars just because Tim Florine. And then the last book that I finished this month was Pull Me Under by Kelly Luce. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. I see so many negative reviews of this. I'm shocked. This book follows a girl who, when she was 12 years old, she stabbed and murdered one of her classmates. And then she was in a juvenile detention center for 8 years, and when she was 20 years old, she was allowed to go to America because she was half Japanese and half American. So she was in Japan when all this happened, but because of her mom being American, she was allowed to become an American citizen and go to America for college and basically restart her life in a place that no one knows who she is. So she changes her name and goes to America and basically goes throughout her life, and then she gets married and has a kid. All of this happens within the first like 30 pages. This is not spoiling anything. It's a very short book. And then she finds out that her father, who basically abandoned her, has died, and she needs to go back to Japan for the first time in like 20 years to go to his funeral and to see other people. And while she's there, she makes a lot of different discoveries about her past and about her life, and she finally kind of comes to terms with what she did when she was a child. I loved this book so much. All of the reviews that I've read that are really negative are like, I wanted to see the like story about how she killed the kid. Like, first off, that is in here. I don't know what y'all are complaining about. Second, a lot of people are like, oh, it's so slow and boring, and it's like, there's nothing really happens. You obviously don't know Japanese literature if that's what you are thinking. Kelly Luce is not Japanese, but she spent a lot of time in Japan, and I think she really accurately actually gets down the Japanese style of literature in her novel. Japanese literature is usually very quiet and very slow, and not a lot happens, and it's usually more character driven and about character discovery and stuff like that, which she nails in this book. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 4.25 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. So if you like Japanese literature, I highly recommend this, but if you want like a fast-paced thriller about a girl killing a boy, that's not what this is. So if you like Japanese literature though, I think you would really enjoy this. Anyways, these are the books plus The Martian and Rabbit Cake that I read this month. It's bigger stack than I thought it was going to be, TBH. And oh my goodness, everything's falling. And the 2 books that I am currently in the middle of, I've talked about a million times, so I'm not going to go into detail. I'm doing a reread of The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle and annotating, and I'm still currently in the middle of A Confederacy of Dunces. I'm 150 pages in, but I've taken a little bit of a break from it, so I'm still currently reading that. Anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and if you've read any of these books, definitely leave them down in the comments below what you thought of them, and I love you, and I'll see y'all later. Bye!